It's great to be here again today. My name's Gary Fowler. I am the CEO, president, and co founder of GSD Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studios. And it was with great pleasure that I introduced my friend Tushar Kansal. Tushar is an investor, venture builder, venture capitalist. I mean, you name it. Ex Deloitte, studied at Harvard University, Indian Textile University, and has had a broad experience everything from working for sustainment to working globally, helping companies bridge the gap. So it is with great honor I introduce my friend Tushar. Hi, Tushar.
Hi, Gary. Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
Thank
How
you
are you
for
doing,
having.
buddy? It's good to see
I'm
you.
doing good. Yeah, it's my pleasure to see you as well and to be on your show today.
Yeah, no, I feel like we live in this virtual world together. It's kind of
like
amazing.
like I told you, I don't see the logos of the shows on which you are there. I always see your face and say, "Oh, I'm on the show."
I see your smile too, Tushar. So, coming from the textile university to Sistema, to Consultancy Ventures, what's that journey like? How did you do that? How did you go from textile university to global startups and venture building?
So I had joined a company, quite a big manufacturing plant of polystable fiber after my textile engineering, and there were strikes which were going on. The communist labor union, there were strikes, and we were toiling for 18 hours, 24 hours, and I just wanted to teach myself finance. I was always very keen on finance, so I utilized that time to study for MBA. So I got through the Delhi University's MBA. That's how I got back in, got into finance, and I didn't look back at textiles again because I found my calling in finance after that. But there was a time when I was running my own startup, 800 students, three centers. We were training students for a very popular engineering entrance exams here, and I was doing quite well. But you know how markets work, right? I mean, competition comes in, you require dollops of capital, and then I realized the value of raising capital, and because I had to sell my education business, and so before I went into venture capital space, I equipped myself by working for top-notch companies like Deloitte and Touche, like the India's largest media house, Times of India's venture arm called Brand Capital. And Systema was beautiful. I just love Russia. And Systema is one of the biggest conglomerates of Russia, and their arm, MTS India, was not doing so well. I joined them as a treasury head, and in 3 years raised almost $2.5 billion for the company.
Wow.
And
And where did you raise that money from?
I raised a lot of it from government banks here in India, but also from Deutsche Bank, from Raiffeisen Bank Austria, from RBS, and a lot of foreign banks as well. Of course, Systema was always there to support us, but it was not easy. There were 11 telecom players in the telecom market. A lot of them were bleeding. So raising money was, as you know very well, Gary. It calls for a lot of ingenuity.
Yeah. Well, that's what entrepreneurship's all about. And so, you work with a company, you work with Faster Capital. What's going on in Dubai? I mean, how did you take that journey to Faster Capital? What was that all about?
While being in this space, I realized that a lot of companies which come to me, they were too early, and they wanted help. They wanted help just more than just the dollars, and that's how I started connecting with accelerators. I connected with Faster Capital, W Hub, Founders Institute, and matter of fact, the kind of work which I've been doing with your studio, it's all because the kind of help you give to early stage companies and founders, and I really believe that these companies do require a lot of help, and apart from funding, they require mentoring, they require business consulting, they require product management, brand management, human resource management, you name it, and there is no end to how much you can help these companies. And in the process, if you make some good money, then that's only right,
Well, I mean, the deal is you want to make sure they have an exit, right? The whole idea is to have an incredible exit. And you're right. A lot of times when people start startups, especially the technical founders, they don't understand the processes that you need to go through to make a company successful. It's not about building the best product. It's about building what people want to buy. Because I've seen over engineering take place many, many times where they're like, oh, we got to have this, we got to have this. And it never stops, Tushar. It's a never-ending cycle. It's unbelievable. So the key is, what is an MVP that the customer is willing to pay for, and are they willing to grab it out of your hands, as my friend Bob Dorr says. So you're spot on. So and then you were at Guggenheim.
Yeah. So that's Guggenheim had a vehicle listed on London Stock Exchange called Infrastructure India, and Infrastructure India had made investments in the infrastructure side in India, and their largest investment was distribution logistics. So I was a CFO there, and I was earlier on the buy side. I was also in the consulting side, and there I was on the sell side, and also reporting to a fund of the size of Guggenheim, which is 160 to $200 billion. It taught me the importance of compliance, the importance of calculating your numbers properly, and mainly cash flow. What cash flow can do for a management. So that was lovely. But the company didn't do quite well because of some legacy issues. And then I had done my schooling in the corporate world, and that's when I decided to move on.
No, that's great. So what's going on in India right now? So what's happened over the last 3 years? What are some of the changes taking place? And what do you really see as hotspots that are interesting for investors?
So, Gary, the numbers, whenever we talk about India, the numbers are huge. And I've seen companies with 5 million downloads on apps and having $10,000 revenue. And the numbers are huge. I mean, TikTok's valuation, large part of it came from having 600 million or something viewers in India. So because it gives you access to the database, and then you can use AI and you can crunch the numbers and do targeted stuff and all that. But India is right now going through a very exciting phase. There has been a stable government since the last almost 7 years now. And just to give you an example, 50% of our population are farmers, and that means 8% of global population. And government recently changed the agriculture laws, which means that this whole market of 800 million people is now open for private corporations. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine, in the last 3 months, the number of startups in India in agri-tech have gone up from 450 to 650. And, so these are exciting times. ISRO is the government company which has a monopoly in space. The government has recently taken away the monopoly. So, space tech, suddenly we are seeing mushrooming of space tech companies. And ISRO is also lending them a helping hand by partnering with startups. And, just like that, health tech, because of COVID, the Indian government spending on health was small as compared to other countries. It has been doubled or tripled almost. So all that money is going to flow into startups eventually.
No, that's super. And, it just seems like the ecosystem's right. And so what happens I've heard there's some mandates from investors that they have to invest in Indian companies. They've got this kind of I don't know if it's a mandate or it's a what is that about? Because I've heard it several times. Is there a requirement for funds to invest in Indian companies first, or the majority? How does that work?
I don't know which particular sector you are referring to, but matter of fact, I'll tell you, China gives around 6 to 8% subsidies to the companies which are exporting, and the Indian government, because India's and China's armies were at the border, since they are still at the border, and they around 20 Indian soldiers also died. So things became quite hot, and Indian government has started offering 6% subsidy, which it calls the production linked incentive scheme.
Uh,
So any company set up in India exporting, in the end gets 6% cash back. So
well,
so
that's a great deal.
and
And
that's across a number of sectors. I mean, almost 20 sectors. So that's quite huge.
so, what if you were to look at technologies that are the hottest right now? I know you were saying agri-tech, but what other kind of things are hot? If you would say these are I'm looking over the next year, these are the kind of Indian startups that are going to really take off. What do they look like?
So, whenever we talk about India, then somehow we do lag around the product side, but not on the human resource side. If you lift up a rock, a technology rock, and you just lift it up, you'll find many Indians there, creating intellectual property and, doing some big this and that. So, what is hot right now is fintech has been on the fire since 7 years. SaaS
Mhm.
has been on fire since almost a decade now, and the government has been facilitating all this. I'll give you three examples. The government created a body called NPCI, which has created UPI based IDs. So it's like an email ID through which you can transfer money.
Oh, that's
So that
great. That's fantastic.
Right. So they have created this backbone throughout the country. Then apart from that, they have issued biometric enabled number and cards to almost everyone in India now.
Wow,
So
that's amazing. Wow.
so that database is again it's a backbone on which many applications can be built. Then 400 million bank accounts have been opened of the bottom of pyramid population, and now almost 80% of Indians have a bank account.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
so
And
these changes have been massive, and just to say, a lot of companies are on record to say that the enablement of this backbone is a game changer.
so what's going to happen? India's been known for software development, right? Like a software development powerhouse. How's that changed? Do the companies go from software development like they've done in Russia over to product and start creating companies because they got so much knowledge? How does that work?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, from software, the companies have moved to creating products. So to give you an example, Reliance, which is India's largest company, has been buying product-based startups. And if you look at the number of acquisitions in the last 2 years, there's almost 35, 40 acquisitions of the size of $100 million, $300 million, $500 million. They have bought Milk Basket. They have bought Urban Ladder, which is a furniture delivery company, and they have bought Zivame, which is a underwear online lingerie kind of company. And just like we used to say that where are the exits? So we used to say that Google and Facebook might buy you out.
Right.
Just now we have companies in India buying niche technology companies like Tata's have recently bought Big Basket for $1.2 billion.
Wow.
And also, the stock exchanges in India have two particular clauses which restrict IPOs. One is that 50% of the issue size should be sold to individuals. So it becomes very difficult for a massive IPO to find 50% retail subscribers. And
Right. Right.
secondly, that any company going out for an IPO should have profits in the last 3 years. So for a startup, it becomes difficult to. But the rule has been changed. and now Indian companies can directly list on Nasdaq or any other foreign exchange.
Yeah. So the other thing is some of them don't have any revenues, right? They're just building up the amount of users. It's incredible. So if you're going down through, what do you see? Like, what about the Indian companies going global? I mean, it seems like I've seen a few of them, a number of them recently start the journey, and I've also seen a number of them in Silicon Valley. What does it look like, and is it to serve the market first, or is it to go global? I mean, what's the sentiment in terms of what's the end game? Is it to have somebody in India buy you, or is it to really create a global corporation?
It is a mix of all the things, Gary. The biggest factor is the amount of money which is available in the US. It's awesome. I've seen companies raise $10 million here, and later on at some, another similar type of company raising $100 million in Silicon Valley. So the check writing capabilities are awesome. And the time taken to write checks is also quite small in the US. And it's also to say that if in any case you have perfected a PMF, then why not aim globally and have your base in a solid country with capitalist instincts and access to dollops of cash and access to probably good management people, resources, and just like those companies who want to gain access to the US market come to you, and you help them across we have been discussing, across marketing, across product, across human resource, across management bandwidth, and apart from the funding side. So companies always feel that having a base in the US will work out better in the long term. And there are many tax possibilities which are available even within US, like Delaware about the two great things in the US, the New York Stock Exchange and Nasdaq. I wish we could just take them away and plant it here.
Well, I mean, as the world is digitally transformed, opportunities open up all over. So, and you're right about it, Tushar. In 100 years, they're going to look back and say Silicon Valley is the Athens of the information age because of what's happened. So, and I tell people daily that being in Palo Alto and Menlo Park and having the access to capital 5-10 minutes away from where you are, it's just incredible because you never know who you're going to see and talk to, and how many times they want to set up a meeting at Hobie's restaurant in Palo Alto. And hey, can you join me for breakfast? It's amazing.
Yeah, I saw you ran into Mark Zuckerberg the other day, right?
I saw Mark Zuckerberg at a restaurant. It was a bit back. I just posted it, but I see Tim Cook at the Starbucks. I mean, it's normal.
Tim Cook, man, amazing. How was it meeting Tim Cook?
That was normal. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just normal. It's in Silicon Valley, if you're over at Stanford University, Sergey Brin could be over there with his kids, having fun with his kids. You just never know who you're going to see. It's an incredible place. It's like a magical kingdom. It's amazing. And the other part of it is, if you want to raise money, being that close to the folks and inside that ecosystem has a dramatic impact. Why? Because if you want to raise money from companies like Mahindra, if you want to raise money from companies like General Motors or Docomo, the largest telecom company in Japan, or Bosch, they have offices there and they're approachable. So the reason that we like it is because they're approachable and you can have meaningful conversations. So I can, when we did our EVA, it was in 4 months, I raised almost $7 million. And just saw somebody at a party, had a conversation, they were really interested, and the rest is history. So that was the speed round. So it's access. It's just, you have friends, just like if you're, with your university, or you're at IIT or Stanford or whatever, you just have friends, mates that you talk to on a regular basis, and they say, hey, I have something you might be interested in. And I can't tell you how many times I've made money having those kind of contacts. So
yeah, I remember, Gary, one of the shows you had said that you have always seen checks cut on lunches and dinners.
I've seen amazing things happen, really. walking down the street in Palo Alto, I saw this friend of mine, a guy I met in Russia, David Yang, walking down the street. And David is a billionaire from Russia. And I was walking down the street, and I look up, and I was in shock. Hi, David. Hi, Gary. How are you? Great. How are you doing? Well, I've been looking for a CEO and co-founder of a company I want to start. Do you know anybody? And this guy is just amazing. He's like the Steve Jobs from my standpoint of Russia. And I saw him and I thought, well, I'm not going to say anything right away. So I waited 3 or 4 days. And I said, I think I know somebody. Me.
Yeah. You sold yourself.
Yeah, well, it's like, sometimes you don't want to say it right away. You want to take a little time. And so I came back to him. Within a week, we formed a company and got the company launched and moved forward. And of course, we had to raise money and get things moved quickly. But here you are with a guy that I never would have gotten a chance to have that close of a relationship. It wouldn't have been meeting him there. And in Russia, I was on stage with Guy Kawasaki at the business school, Skolkovo, and he saw me. And it's like I wouldn't have been on stage with Guy Kawasaki any other place in Russia. So it's being at the right place at the right time. But it means anybody can do it, Tushar. Quite frankly, I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Gary, I identify with you so much. I'm a country boy from India, So
I love it. You can.
I grew up on the foothills of the Himalayas, far away from the city. And, so I totally identify with what you're saying.
And that's part of it, right? Moving forward through life and keeping your humility and there are amazing people out there. And quite frankly, they do want to help. It's just getting to those people, putting yourself in the right place at the right time. By the way, the Himalayan mountains, I read a few months ago that the first time in 30 years that they've been able to see the Himalayas.
Gary, you have been saying this on all the shows, that the Himalayas are visible now. So I'll tell you what the thing is. There is a lot of smog on the Ganges basin. It's because of the pollution. And when lockdowns happened, Himalayas were, they could be seen from cities which were really far away. And the media, they just publish all these pictures of snow-clad Himalayas from the cities, as far as 50 kilometers and 30 kilometers. So that's what it is. You are absolutely right.
Well, it means that we can have a dent in the universe, right? We can make an impact in our environment. It's just beautiful. So when you look at artificial intelligence in India, and you know that we love AI, what's happening with AI in India and what's happening with quantum computing? What do you see?
So, every fourth or third startup which I meet, they talk about AI. And this thing has been a trend, so to say, since, it's almost a given. If a startup is pitching to you, they will invariably build AI into their model because without it, you can't compete. And
5 years ago, Tushar, sorry, I remember being on a stage at VentureBeat. And so 2 weeks before I get on stage, you'll love this story. So David, my partner, who's got a PhD in AI from MIPT, which is like IIT, I said, we need to put AI in this because this is not going to be good. I'm getting on stage and this is I said, boring. So in 2 weeks, we started down the journey. We hired a guy. I got a guy to come on board, artificial intelligence, who had been at MIPT, so start to build some models. But not a lot of people, I can't say nobody, but not a lot of people were really talking about it. And it was amazing, the kind of response we got at the time. We had 300 and some articles that were written about what we were doing. So, but we had mock slides. We had done them up. We were just starting to do our customer development to figure out, is this really something people want? But you're right. Think about the data around us, right? We've got
it's
huge data, 40 zettabytes of data, as I've said many times, 29 times if we stack CDs one on top of another between the Earth and the Moon. We're in a state of infobesity. And we've got to solve the infobesity. We need the Weight Watchers for our infobesity. So that's right. AI is the Weight Watchers for infobesity. So, and not to, I'm not getting paid by Weight Watchers, but I'm telling you, we're in a big jam with data around it.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, you look at it, nowadays we have got so much used to smart apps. If the app is not suggesting you the right thing at the right time, you tend to feel this is old, right? And where is the AI? I mean, so, it's making us even more lazier. But in a way, that's the beauty of AI. And I don't think companies who don't adopt AI would do well for themselves, at least in the next 5 years.
We talk about going, we have smart assistants today. They're really intelligent assistants,
Right.
unsupervised AI. Because what I say is that it's like your guardian angel on your shoulder to be able to navigate through all this data coming at you all the time. I mean, I don't know
Absolutely.
about you, Tushar, and I still do it every week. Somebody says, I sent you a message, and I'm like, where did you send it? Do you get like that? Like, I don't know if it's a WeChat or Telegram or LinkedIn or Facebook, because I got people just from VCTV that send me things everywhere. I honestly don't know where they're going to send them. I generally know the email address if they do it, but they said, no, did you see my message? I'm like, okay, WhatsApp, because we're on WhatsApp. No, I sent it to Facebook. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's
that's the
it's
problem, right?
it's
That's
very difficult. Yeah.
So Indian startups that are out there, think about it. We need to have a Google-like search for your personal cloud that can help us
See,
solve this
Gary,
problem.
that's not easy. I mean, China could do a WeChat because there is a single party government, and they could organize things around one app. In India, I'll tell you, Tata's, which are the big conglomerate, and Reliance, which is big, they both are trying to create a super app. Just look at, if you were trying to build a super app from the bottom up, you would have spent $5 billion or $4 billion or probably $10 billion. Here, just uniting the whole piece, one fintech company, Paytm, costs you $15 billion. One big basket costs you $1.2 billion.
Right.
If you go about aggregating all the things on an app without the help of a single government, a government which backs you, I feel it'll cost like $100 billion, and even if it is possible, only then. So not easy.
Well, we did it. So when I founded the company, we called it Findo, and we had a Google-like search. And I got to tell you, Tushar, we have, with 19 patents and incredible amount of research and some of the brightest people in Russia working on this problem. There wasn't the challenge of whether we could do it because we developed the search. The problem was very simple. People don't remember their passwords.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
don't care whether you're a PhD from MIT, IIT. I mean, people just don't remember. And the other part is not only don't they don't remember their passwords, they feel uncomfortable using them, or they don't want to use like a one login kind of a approach. They're nervous about it.
Yeah.
So and they don't want to pay because they're used to Google searching for free. So why should I pay for a personal cloud search? You should give it to me for free. So
Right.
we went down and I got to tell you, I had 167,000 users that actually signed up, but very, very few of them ever wanted to pay. So
Yeah.
worked, worked. We're right down the road, and I had to pivot the company. We pivoted from Findo to Eva, the smart assistant. Well, of course, you can't compete with Google. Then we moved that to HR and HR tech and AI, and it worked. But it
Yeah.
was really interesting. So we did it, and of course, we're just country people out there. We developed something, but now, so startups, think about it. There are 300,000 items within the average person's personal cloud. If you put that in perspective, in 1996, there were 257,000 websites on the World Wide Web. The amount of information that each one of us has every year doubles. In 5 years, it'll be 10 million items. How in the world are we going to keep track of our own personal cloud and our information? And
Right.
it's impossible without having
Impossible.
unsupervised AI. And so the companies that are out there looking at it, think about it. We're inundated. Each one of you that are out there I'm sure once a week have the same problem. Some people say, no, I never have the problem. Well, then they don't give their email. They're not using LinkedIn or Facebook or Slack, right?
Right. You are
That's
absolutely right. Yeah.
really important. Anyhow, we're coming up to the top of the hour, Tushar. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the conversation with you. I really enjoy our friendship and getting to see you on a regular basis.
It's all my pleasure, Gary. I love being on shows with you, and talking to you today one on one. I knew it will be very enriching, and I'll really enjoy it, and I have really enjoyed it. So thank you really for this opportunity to talk to you on the show today.
I appreciate it too, Tushar. So, closing thoughts in terms of where we're going and what's happened in India, what's going to happen further, how people can get a hold of you. So, if you could just address it, that would be great.
I am mostly available on LinkedIn. I do non-tech investments also, but mostly bigger checks, not the smaller ones. And on tech side, I look at all kind of deals. But I am a very reluctant investor in the sense I would invest in one company in 1 year. So I generally help companies get investments. So most welcome to approach me on LinkedIn, Tushar Kansal, and also through my website consultancy.com. And in any case, I'm always there to help, even if it is not about funding, about any management consulting, or you need merger and acquisition, you need to get into new markets. And I just love this whole venture capital piece, Gary. Matter of fact, from textile to venture capital, life has taken me because I love it. So that's
That,
that's
that's what I like to hear. I love the passion behind it, Tushar. And
yeah,
he's the
absolutely.
go-to guy. Contact him. He's got a lot of contacts. A good person, and has done an incredible amount. So I want to thank you for coming today. I want to thank my
Thank
audience
you.
for taking time out of their busy schedules to join us. This is an incredible time. The digital transformation is upon us. Use it wisely. Go out, go get them, get shit done, as we say at GSD, and keep moving forward. Stay positive, stay optimistic, and visualize where you want to go. With that, stay tuned for the next episode of GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. My name's Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Thank you very much,
Thank
Tushar.
you, Gary. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good day. And thank you once again I look forward to being on more shows with you.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.